In this video, I'm going to be talking about the LGBTQ community and the discrimination they have faced in the past as well as present day. LGBTQ discrimination can be traced back to 1600s where people were executed for being homosexual. For example, Richard Cornish, who was executed for alleged homosexual acts with a servant, or the case of Elizabeth Johnson, who was fined and whipped for quote-unquote unseemly practices with another maid in Essex County, Massachusetts, 1642. Sodomy laws in the United States, which outlawed a variety of sexual acts, were inherited from these colonial laws in the 1600s and put homosexual activity in the same category of crime as sexual assault, pedophilia, public sex, and bestiality. Originally, sodomy laws were derived from church law, designed to prevent sexual activity outside of marriage. In the late 1960s, though, sodomy laws began to be used in a new way, distinctly against homosexuals, as the young gay rights movement began to make headway during this time, and social conservatives began to invoke sodomy laws as a justification for discrimination. In some states, sodomy laws were explicitly rewritten so that they only applied to homosexuals. Kansas was the first state to do that in 1969 and was later followed by Arkansas, Missouri, Kentucky, Montana, Nevada, Tennessee, and Texas. These laws were used against the LGBTQ community in three ways. First, these laws were used to limit the ability of gay people to raise children, as they were used to justify denying gay parents custody of their own kids and refusing to let gay people adopt and become foster parents. Second, these laws have been used to justify firing gay people and denying them jobs. This idea was explained by the FBI in a case which it won in the 1980s. In 1986, in Bowers v. Hardwick, the U.S. Supreme Court decided that the U.S. Constitution allowed Georgia to make sodomy a crime. Although the Georgia law applied to all couples, the court said its decision was about homosexual sodomy. That meant the FBI said that it couldn't be illegal to discriminate against gay people because gay people were considered a class whose conduct could be made a crime. Third, the laws have been used in public debate to justify denying gay people equal treatment and to discredit LGBTQ voices. For example, in Utah, the sodomy law was used to justify not protecting gay people from hate crimes. In Arkansas, Florida, Mississippi, and Texas, they've been used to justify various proposals to ban adoption or foster care. The sodomy laws eventually led to the Lawrence v. Texas civil rights case in 2003 due to John Lawrence and Tyron Garner being arrested at their apartment because police caught the two men together. The men were charged with a misdemeanor under the anti-sodomy law. After a long debate, the court stated that consensual conduct was a liberty protected under the 14th Amendment. The Supreme Court has struck down the sodomy law in Texas in a 6-3 decision and invalidated sodomy laws in 13 other states, making same-sex sexual activity legal in every state. This case attracted a lot of public attention and set the stage for future same-sex marriage rights. Although these sodomy laws have been rightfully considered unconstitutional and the nation has made progress toward LGBTQ rights, neither the federal government nor most states have non-discrimination laws protecting people on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. LGBTQ people still face widespread discrimination. Between 11% and 28% of LGBTQ workers report losing a promotion simply because of their sexual orientation, and 27% of transgender workers report being fired, not hired, or denied a promotion in the past year. Lesbian, gay, and bisexual kids are 3 times more likely than straight kids to attempt suicide at one point in their lives. Medically serious attempts at suicide are 4 times more likely among LGBTQ youth than any other young people. 41% of trans adults said they had attempted suicide in one study. The same study found that 61% of trans people who were victims of physical assault had attempted suicide. Each time an LGBTQ person is a victim of physical or verbal harassment or abuse, they become 2.5 times more likely to hurt themselves. In the United States, out of the almost 6,000 hate crimes committed in 2013, 20% were based on victims' sexual orientation, according to the FBI. Comparing 2017 and 2016, the National Coalition of Anti-Violence Programs reported an increase of 86% in the hate-based murders of LGBTQ people, even excluding the 49 murders in the Pulse nightclub shooting of June 2016. The LGBTQ community is estimated to comprise 4.5% of the U.S. population, yet according to an FBI report, they make up more than 16% of federally reported hate crime victims. So now we must ask ourselves, what can be done? Laws banning discrimination, penalizing homophobic and transphobic hate crimes must be strengthened. Granting recognition of same-sex relationships and making it easier for transgender individuals to obtain official documents that have their preferred gender must be enforced. There needs to be more coverage of LGBTQ history and the discrimination faced within this community in schools and in the media, as well as more representation. The more that people are discussing and acknowledging those being discriminated against, the more people realize they are just as human as everyone else and deserve to be treated as so.